but she can't arrest me. Walk up with my toolie, what they do? Meet me in the alley with the troops.
No way! No way! No way!
15 years since Tenkaichi 3 came out?
I'm about to
react to this shit. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
That man, they've been a thug. Right. Is this real? What is going on?
I would have just thought this was like a remaster of the collection.
Bruh, I remember that very first Dragon Ball Sparking Zero trailer like it was yesterday. Damn, time flies by. But, yeah, it's Jaitiy. After waiting 17 long years, we finally have the sequel from Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. But I ain't gonna lie to y'all, everyone. This game is a mess! The community is too, but you didn't hear that from me. And if you told me that I had to do a part 2 of a similar video like I did for Tekken 8 3 months ago, 4 months ago, whenever I made it, I thought you would be lying. But there's so much I gotta get into this video, I ain't wasting no time, so let's get into it. Also, just like I said in my Tekken video, I'm not making this video to hate on this game. I want this game to be the best it can be. It's just the state where it's at right now. It's a mess. Biggest downfall for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, if it does not change, is the community itself. The amount of things that I have seen online, it just blew my mind and I really couldn't believe what I was seeing. People don't like the fact that balance patches are coming to the game after the Yajirobe nerf because of the fact it didn't happen in Budokai Tenkaichi 3. And I'm sorry, if you're one of those people who try to say because Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 didn't get patched, you already lost. So I'm gonna make this as clear as possible, okay? We are in the year of 2024, and Sparking Zero is on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Tenkaichi 3 came out on the PS2 and on the Wii 17 years ago! And the only way that you actually got patches and updates for games back in the day, for people who don't actually remember, you had to buy multiple copies of the same damn game. Cause me, I would have been happy if Tenkaichi 2 or 3 would have got patched, because overall it would make the game better. Because if both of those games came out today, we would have got patches for those also. And there is a big difference between facing the AI and a group of friends compared to facing everyone around the world. And a lot of y'all need to learn the difference between unbalanced and actually broken. Things that were not intended for the game to actually be there, but they are there. But everybody wants to always use that excuse for the developers where it's just like, well, the game is supposed to be unbalanced, so because the game is supposed to be unbalanced, they're not supposed to patch up the game and fix things? Just off of these comments alone, y'all would not want Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3 to come out today because y'all wouldn't know what to do. If anyone tries to give criticism to this game, people will say, nah, you're not trying to make the game better for everyone, you're just hating and complaining and just get good. Listen, I understand this is a Dragon Ball game and the visual for this game looks the best it's ever been for Tenkaichi, but here's the thing, man. For any game to become better over time, you have to give games criticism. Because even as an OG Tenkaichi player, there's so many things wrong about this game mechanically that need to be fixed. And if we leave it the same way that it is right now, most of the people over time are going to leave. Now this next clip actually surprised me, so I want you guys to actually watch it real quick.
Vegito is one of my favorite characters, but I refuse to play him because then I'll just be one of the bunch, playing a character that's easy to win with. So if I do play Vegito, I'll skip Super Saiyan and just go to Blue, or I won't use After Image. But again, that's my personal nerf, you don't have to do that.
What?
And the reason I wanted to show this clip that Kaisen did recently is because someone DM'd me on Twitter recently about how they were getting comments about playing Z Broly and how he paid his money just like everybody else, so he's gonna play his favorite character. Maybe it's because I played Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 back in the day that I'm used to it, because people also said the same thing back in the day when you picked Hit, Super Gogeta, Blue Goku, etc. when the game first came out. And even then, do you think I'm going to stop playing Gogeta Super, Gogeta 4, and Omen Goku just because of what another person thinks about when I play these characters? Hell no! And neither should none of you. Play the characters that you actually want to play. Y'all gotta stop having this mentality of if your character is very good at the game, you're not gonna play them because you don't want to be labeled with a group of people. And I already know what someone's going to say. Well, Jaitiy, so you're telling me that people actually like Android 19 and 20? To be honest, if you played any anime game, if there's one thing that people love to do, no matter what anime game it is, they are going to find a way to cheese. Not saying that cheese should be in any type of game to begin with, but no matter the anime game, it's always going to be found. You know what else the community does? If someone posts some tech on Twitter, and if it's something that's always been the old Tenkaichi games, they'll be like, bro, that's always been in Tenkaichi. Have you even played the games like this for real? Not everybody has been playing Tenkaichi for 17 years straight. Y'all gotta understand that. Hell, there's even some people I know who never even touched Tenkaichi before. This is actually like their very first experience playing the game. So if anything, I would rather you guys give them useful information so they're actually like, oh, okay, so this is how it actually works. Not having this elitist attitude to where like, I'm better than you, so I'm gonna make fun of you because I know something and you don't. And last but not least, something I have personally went through myself. If you are someone who plays this game at above average, high level, or someone who wants to compete in tournaments for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, you get the absolute worst of it. Developers already talked about that the game was going to be unbalanced and that is for a casual audience, so why are you guys trying to take it so competitively? And even today, when I was just showing me doing super counters and learning how to get better at the mechanic, people were still pressed and making tweets like this. Like, bro, you cannot make this up. And the saddest part for me is how much the anime arena fighter or anime games in general are just so dismissed by the FGC and people in the anime community. Because this always happens. It happened with Naruto Storm 4, it happened with Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles, it happened with JoJo All-Star Battle R, and now it's happening with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And Kill la Kill If players, can you guys tell me about your experience with this as well? Because if you ask me, here's my personal opinion, and we can have a discussion about this as well in the comments if you want to. The way I personally look at it, if you have one person versus another person, there will always be competition. And whether if the game was made for casuals or not, and whether the game was made for tournaments or not, you will always have the casual side of the audience or the competitive side of the audience. It's up to the player at the end of the day to decide how they actually want to approach their games. And up to the community to make the game better as a whole so that way it benefits both parties. Also, if you don't think that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is a competitive game, that's okay. And if you think that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is a competitive game, that's also okay. So my question to both sides is, why do y'all care so much about how a player decides how they want to approach their game? If people want to play the game casually, let them do that. If people want to play the game competitively, also let them do that. If anything, we should all be happy that everybody's even playing the game to begin with, because at the end of the day, we don't know what's going on in people's lives, and some people even passed away before they even have the opportunity to be able to play this game. And this is what y'all focused on? So to end this section of the video off, play the game how you want to play it, have fun, and if someone got something to say about it, honestly, just ignore them. Now we can talk about the actual game now. We are now on the offline modes and accessibility for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. We have a lot of offline modes for this game. We have Episode Battle, Custom Battle, Battle, Super Training to where it has Battle Training and Training Mode, which I can't wait to talk about that. The World Tournament mode, but it also has other World Tournament modes you can choose from. Xenos Orders and Whis' Stamp Book, Shop/Customize, Player Card, the Encyclopedia aka Discord, your player data, the theater. Please bring back the intro when you start the game, please. The Dragon Balls to where you'll be able to summon the dragons. Good luck farming these, by the way. Lastly, the accessibility features, which we will talk about later. Now that I told you about all the offline modes for the game, I'm only going to be talking about the modes that I personally want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is Episode Battle, because this was the very first thing I decided to play when I got the game. So in this mode, you play 8 different characters and play their story in the Dragon Ball universe from their perspective. And those 8 characters are Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Trunks, Frieza, Goku Black, and Jiren. If this did not have what if episodes, I'm not gonna lie to you, I would not play it because it was so underwhelming to me. And the reason I say that, because throughout most of the game, you're going to be going through these slideshows with no narration, and you barely get any narration from the characters. And even when you're about to go to the slideshows, for some reason, the quality and the frames just drop. You do get some animation cutscenes in this game, but some of them just be completely off. Like that one moment when I was doing the what if with Vegeta and Trunks was thinking in his head, but he was actually talking.
Should I keep it to myself? Or show him what I can really...
Trunks, your mouth is moving. I guess that was supposed to be an inside thought. Also, they added to where you can actually see the story from the first person view's perspective, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really excited for this at first, but after a while, I just stopped using it. And then there's inconsistencies with the episode battles themselves. Listen, I know Goku is the MC, and I know he's gonna have the most story out of everybody, but you at least could have gave other characters their fair share of the story. Vegeta skips the Saiyan Saga, and for some reason they end his episode battle on the Buu Saga. Like, why are y'all doing Vegeta like that? Gohan completely skips the Saiyan and the Frieza Saga and goes right to the hyperbolic time chamber training with Goku to get Super Saiyan. Trunks, my favorite character in Dragon Ball, they skipped the arc that he was introduced in. Piccolo doesn't even fight Super Buu in this game, so that way he could buy time for Goten and Trunks to fuse into Gotenks. And they honestly could have gave him something for Tournament of Power, but I can kind of see why they ended his on the Android Saga. Goku Black, let me say this, you're one of my favorite parts about Dragon Ball Super, but
That shit is a 2-pack of ass!
also, some of the what-ifs that are in this game, it's not even worth getting to me. Like, there's one if Super Vegeta defeated Perfect Cell, he pretty much ends it off like, oh, I'm Super Vegeta. And then Goku Black's what-ifs, a lot of them are just basically the same outcome, and it's like, bruh. Also for the what-ifs, they gotta make it very clear about who you're actually supposed to defeat. Because there was a moment when I was playing Blue Goku, and it said I had to defeat Zamasu and Goku Black quickly, but Zamasu switched out so fast that it went to Goku Black. I kept restarting it over and over and over again until my homie Dax told me, oh yeah, Jay, you don't have to do that, you just gotta defeat Goku Black fast. What? Then why didn't it just say defeat Goku Black fast? Why did it say both? Make the instructions more clear to me. Also, when you're doing the what ifs, they definitely need to add a timer for people who are trying to get it. Like, there was one to where I was playing as Piccolo fused with Nail and facing Frieza at the time that I had to restart a few times because I didn't know how fast I had to beat Frieza. And there was another one in the Buu Saga with Vegeta to where you had to beat up Kid Trunks very fast, but you also can't really lose health like that either. And again, I had to restart that one a few times because I didn't know how fast I had to beat Kid Trunks. So if you add a timer, that would make it so much easier for people. They should have gave you the option to be able to choose if you want to play the what if story for the characters or if you want to play the canon story of the characters. So that way, if you just wanted to go into the what ifs, you can. You still have to do the requirements, but at least I can just focus on the what if without having to play the canon. Because some people don't even want to do the what ifs because they have to play the canon to get to that point. So overall, I feel the what ifs made this mode, man. But I feel if you're not going for the what ifs and you're just playing for the canon, you're really not going to be able to enjoy it as much. So if you really want to experience the full story of Dragon Ball, I would highly suggest playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. And honestly, I didn't even play it. I watched C-Reacts play it. Next up, we have custom battles, and this is basically the Mario Maker of Dragon Ball and one of the best modes developers have ever added in the game. So people are able to create their very own custom stories and able to put that together for the world to play, or you can create your own. And honestly, compared to episode battle, I really don't have to be here that long because there's nothing really bad to say about it for the most part. But there definitely needs to be some quality of life changes though, I will say that. And I definitely have some ideas that I would definitely love to see here. So the very first thing I would love to see is the ghost camera. Instead of you having like specific camera cuts and things that like the game gives you, I'd rather be able to move the camera freely to go wherever I want to go. Kind of like how Call of Duty does in their games, but that's just the editor and designer in me talking, don't worry about me. The next one, I won't really know how it will work, but I would love to see it. I would love to see like a record audio function Because in custom battles, there's no narration because, I mean, that would be way too much work for the voice actors to be able to do that, right? Being able to record our own voices for the characters, I feel like that would be pretty funny. It would make the custom battles like more entertaining for people because at the moment you kind of gotta read it your own way, and like sometimes there's like requirements in battles that you're going to miss because you're not hearing exactly what the characters are saying. But the biggest thing that custom battle really needs is a search feature, because when I saw there was no search feature, I was like, oh my god. Like, even looking for the simplest things of like the highlighted words they give you or like character names, it takes way too long to find them, so then you're just scrolling and scrolling just trying to find it. So if you had a search bar to where you can type in certain words on your controller or type in the characters' names, you can do it alphabetically or however you want to do it. It would make it so much easier because there's no reason to make one of the most creative modes in Dragon Ball be tedious, you know what I'm saying? Customization. This is where it gets kind of confusing for me. So for some reason, they took out the presets that the old Tenkaichi games used to have, to where like if you both pick the same character, each character would have a different color so you can tell who is who. For some reason in this game, it's not here. So if y'all both pick the same character, good luck finding out who's who. So the color presets, developers, bring that back. Also, there's some costumes in this game that's missing too that also confuse me. Like for example, Tien's fit to where he fought Super Buu, Krillin in the Majin Buu arc, end of GT Goku, Gohan with the Goku fit from the BoJack movie. I was hoping they was gonna bring the fits back from Budokai 1. They used it for like one game and decided never to bring it back again. I will also love this Goku fit, this Piccolo fit, and this Vegeta fit. But knowing PC players, they already got a mod for it, and guess what I'm gonna have to do? I will also like a feature to where I could put any type of color that I want to put on my character. So instead of it like being a color preset like I talked about earlier, you could put whatever you want on your character. That would be sick. Also, I would love more freedom for characters to be able to wear what they want to wear. Like for example, I saw a picture of Kefla wearing Saiyan armor, and that would be a very cool concept. Or like for example, if you want to put Piccolo and Goku's fit, or just like a few examples like that. Give people more freedom for customization, because I'm not gonna lie, the customization in this game, depending on the character you choose, is very lacking. Can we also talk about how there are just some stages that are not in this game for some reason? Kami's house is not in the game, Kami's lookout's not in the game, Glacier's stage is not in the game, Hell's stage is not in the game. We definitely need more stages, because honestly, it just feels like there are just stages that are missing for absolutely no reason. Also, while we're on the stages, can you guys also put like a out of bounds boundary line like the old Tenkaichi games have? Because in this game, you can't even tell when you're out of bounds or not, because it doesn't really show you anything. So now to touch back at the accessibility I wanted to talk about earlier. So depending on what control scheme you choose, you're actually not going to be able to choose whether you want to change buttons for your control scheme or not. And that's the reason I play on standard controls, because when I try to put my guard to L1, I couldn't do it on classic, I can only do it on standard. And there's certain things on standard to where you can't change it, but on classic you can change it. And on this game, you're not able to put whatever button you decide that you want to use for like perception, guarding, etc. You have to use the buttons that they give you. You should be able to use whatever button that you decide to use. Comfortability in any game is everything. And if you have muscle memory for playing Tenkaichi like I do, and you can't set buttons the way you want to, it's gonna really mess up your muscle memory. So please give players the option to change whatever buttons they want to change no matter what control scheme they are on. We made it to the online section of the video. There's so many problems with this online, so let's just get this over with. So when I first did online for the very first time, I decided to do a player match just to see how bad the connection is. And I thought that player matches were going to be like ranked matches, because ranked matches you just search for an opponent, find an opponent, and then you start your game. Player matches, do you think that happens? No. Player matches, no matter if you create your own room or if you find a room, you're always going to be in a lobby. And even if you decide to search for quick matches, it's going to do the exact same thing to where they put you in a lobby. Why? So this is how we're going to do this. You see these menus right here? We're going to separate these into 3 categories. You're going to have player matches, which is going to be like ranked matches. Endless matches, which the lobby system we have for player matches now, because that's what basically the mode is. And ranked matches. If you separate it by these 3 categories, it will make it so much easier for the player. So just to let y'all know, I'm going to call the player matches we have now endless matches. So now let's get to the endless matches. And I'm going to say this for every single game that has it. The 2015 lobby system needs to go. Now, I am happy this game decided to come with lobbies because there are games that decide to not come with lobbies on release nowadays. Storm Connections. But this lobby system, it definitely got to be tuned out for sure. So the first thing, right? Let's say, for example, instead of playing singles, you want to play DP battle. In order for you to do that, you gotta back out of the lobby you just made, make another lobby to where it's DP, and then you made another lobby. I feel like you shouldn't need to do that. You know how before you create lobbies, they give you all these settings? Just put all these settings in the pop-up menu. Also, I feel like everybody should be able to get the chance to play no matter how many people's in the lobby. If there's 4 people in the lobby, for example, they should give me the option to click on the player's name so I can play a match with them while the other people are playing their match. Also, there's a spectator bug to where if you join their game late, it doesn't fast forward. So if their game ends early, you just go back to the lobby again. I feel like the game should already be making you spectate as soon as the game starts instead of you have to actually press the standby for you to spectate, in my opinion, but that's just me. Also, if more than 2 people are in the lobby and if you decide you want to rematch the player again because y'all just had a good match, you can't because the only option it gives y'all is to return to the room. Both players should be given the option to whether they want to rematch or return to the room again. And also, this is for any online mode we play, give us the option to skip intros. It's crazy because offline, they literally give you a skip feature so that you can skip it. Developers, you also need to add that for online as well. And speaking of intros, the thing I showed in the video earlier where I had got Vegeta and it shows some kind of Gaussian blur, editors will know what I'm talking about. That needs to go. But now, we have to also get into rank matches. Rank matches, oh my god. So when I played this for the first time, I thought I was tripping. So when I was searching for an opponent and I paused the game, it didn't pause the search. What? If you see me pause the game, just pause the search. Also, y'all need to add a setting, do you want to search for an opponent or not while you're doing a rank match? Because there are some things that like people probably want to test sometimes that they want to actually try out. So actually have a setting for that. Also, this one is very important. When you find an opponent, it needs to show, hey, here's the person disconnection rate, and here's the person internet settings. Do you want to play this game? Yes or no? I don't know why that's not in the game, because in rank matches now, you're not even going to know what you're going to be getting into. And that's not how rank match in any game should be, so fix that! And last but not least, I don't know what it is about Bandai publishing games, but every single game they always have rage quit issues.
Huh?
I messed up. No, this is good. This is good. He's mid-animation. Lag! Did I get my first rage quit?
Time for my ultimate attack!
I think I went here.
You're going down!
Yeah. See? I know. Ah, he rage quit!
Nobody is getting punished for it. So just like I said in Tekken 8, people need to be punished for rage quitting, man. So now that we got that out of the way, there's some extra modes that I would love to see online and some things I want to talk about on the online for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero in general. So the first mode that I would love to see added online is online practice. I feel like this is a must, because there is a huge difference playing this game offline and playing this game online because of delay-based netcode. And having this online would be so beneficial to everyone to learn the mechanics of the game better and overall test different connections so you can get used to the game. And the next what I would love to see online, it's kind of something that Xenoverse 2 did, to where they had a with or without limitations. So I guess for Sparking Zero, we'll call it like, I don't know, limitation match or something. So in this mode, everybody has the same health bars, everybody has the same skill count, and everybody has the same stats. The reason I came up with this is actually, I've been learning Gogeta 4 recently. I have nothing against characters being strong, but when Gogeta 4 never did this much damage before for rush chains or charge ki blast, that is a problem. So I feel like having a mode like this will be fun for everyone, so that way everybody can play on the same playing field. Cause on ranked, especially singles ranked, I feel like everybody should start off with 3 health bars, to be honest. Now, we need to talk about the Xbox community. So from what I've been seeing, the Xbox players have been saying it's been hard for them to even find games on Dragon Ball Sparking Zero servers. I literally had someone DM me and say it takes them a long time just to be able to find a game and play with someone, and it's hard to find games in general. Hell, I even watched Somo Gaming try to make a video about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero while he was playing on Xbox when he played the game for the first time, and it took him forever to find a game. And listen, I understand Xbox has the lowest player base compared to PlayStation and Steam, I get that. But they paid for the game just like we did, so they should be able to experience the game like how we experienced the game. They shouldn't be limited just because of the console they bought the game on. So developers, I need you to fix that for Xbox people, please. And this is exactly why I wanted crossplay for this game, to have the ability to play with everyone no matter what type of platform you're on. The way the game is right now, and with all the bugs and stuff that they gotta fix for this game, like for example the input delay on console, or people having the button glitch to where like they can't even use their buttons properly, and even a situation to where my homie Edo showed me to where the game just randomly decided to switch characters for some reason.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
So I'm gonna need them to be able to fix all of this before they add crossplay to the game. But all in all, make the game playable for Xbox players, please. And the last thing I want to say for the online section, I need more people to speak the hell up about wanting rollback netcode, or hell, even better netcode for anime games in general. Listen, I understand for anime games, you'll be able to play your favorite anime and be able to play with your favorite characters from the shows and such. I get that. But as someone who's been playing anime games for a very long time now, I just want better online experiences for my game. For example, I'm in the US and my homie Mew is in the UK, right? And when we tried to play each other, the game literally died. And if the game had a better online experience, that really wouldn't be happening. Hell, I'm even excited for the new Bleach game that's coming out. The fact that Bleach is actually getting a game on console shocks the hell out of me. But if I'm gonna have to go through the same online experience that I go with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, to where like the game doesn't even feel playable because of how bad the online actually is, we're cooked! It is the year 2024. It is no longer 2016 no more. I need anime games to actually be workable online. I want everyone from around the world, no matter where you are, to be able to play with anyone because of how great the connection online actually is. That's all I gotta say. We finally got to this section of the video.
You know how long I've been waiting for this?
We're gonna be talking about the mechanics of the game, the cheats of the game, and quality of life changes that I would love to see for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So let me get this out of the way. I'm gonna bring up things from the older games, and somebody's gonna be like, oh my god, you guys keep complaining that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero isn't Budokai Tenkaichi 2 or 3. If you wanna go play those games, just go play them. But the reason I bring this up is because most of the problems that you guys have with this game, it was fixed in the older games. And y'all want this game to be fixed, right? And I thought so. Well, as you can see, each character has their own transformation information and technique information to tell you about what the character actually does in their move list. But something else I would love to see in the character selection screen is the type of character they are. Like for example, C Broly is a power type, Ispo is a speed type, so that way we know exactly what the characters are and people have that information for them. Also, if we hit return to character select, I don't like the fact that I have to go all the way back and then go right back to the character select again. I should be able to just go back to character select again. One thing I feel like this game is really missing is the fact that it has no impact. So here is Super Saiyan Melee Trunks' Blast 2 in this game. And here's Super Saiyan Melee Trunks' Blast 2 in this game. As you can see, the older games, it has a way more impact when you're actually hitting the opponents with supers because of the camera shake that they add and such, and that's something I would definitely love to see them bring to this game. Because for this recording, I have the camera shake at the highest possible setting, and Tenkaichi 3 still looks better. Also, some outros of the game need to be touched up, like the classic one that Goku does right here. It looks kind of awkward in this game, so it needs to be polished a little bit, nothing too crazy. And something that I've been asking for the Tenkaichi series for a very long time, please give me the setting to be able to record the bot. Let's say, for example, I want to train for super countering, right? So as you can see me going through the whole entire list, there's not really an option to be able to say like just a super counter one. Only thing they really give you guard-wise, guards and counters. and guard responses. Now the AI is actually moving. Now what's going to happen? They're not going to do super counter all the time, but they'll do it sometimes. Yeah, they do it at that time, right? Because you hit them for the first time. But if you do that again, they'll do completely different things because they're going to be doing completely different counters every time. So if you want to learn very specific things, that's why I want to be able to have an option to record the bot. We're going to be talking about how much skill count you actually get in this game because you get skill count way too fast in this game. Enemy gets skill count from getting hit. The enemy gets more skill count if you hit them backwards, whereas the community like to say, give it the enemy back shots. You get skill count from recovering. As you can see, I got a little bit more skill count from that. You get hella skill count from Z countering in this game. Lastly, if you or the enemy loses 1 health bar, you gain 1 skill count. If there's anything else that gives you skill count, please let me know. In my opinion, I feel the skill count should be a tad bit slower in this game. Also, I feel neither me or the enemy player should be giving 1 skill count if we lose a bar of health. And you definitely should not be getting this much skill count from just doing Z counters. There's also people that also said that during C counters, they should be able to stop the skill count. And I can see from that perspective too, but I'm not really sure if they should do that or not. And another reason I want skill count to be changed that way is because for characters like Fusions, Master UI Goku, or any character that has 4 health bars, they're able to get more skill count because of that. So that's why I want to see those changes made to the skill count. Z counter, oh brother. I know there's some people who really don't mind this mechanic, but for me personally, this slows down the game as a whole and is so boring to play and so boring to look at. I honestly don't know why the developers changed it the way it is now when Budokai Tenkaichi 3 Sway worked perfectly fine. You lost 1 bar key, it was faster, and each vanish you did was harder to time to properly vanish it. And even in the Budokai Tenkaichi 4 mod, they made it to where like, if you guys kept going and going for vanishes, then you got into a little clash with each other. All those ideas needs to come to Sparking Zero C countering because, oh my god, it's boring as hell, bruh. Alright, turn on the sad music, bruh. You already know what I'm about to get into next, man. I already got a tweet of someone saying this whole mechanic ruined the game for him, and I completely understand it. This is easily, by far, the worst mechanic of the whole entire game, and I do not want to hear anybody defend it. So the first week of me labbing this mechanic, right, I learned that you can basically hold up on the left analog stick, reset the stick, have an RNG chance to mash it because you're able to still do it in hit stun, and you'll get a super counter. What? Something I suggested, you make the window smaller, increase the cooldown. You're not going to be able to hold up on the analog stick the whole entire time, especially while you're in hit stun, and it needs to cost half a key bar. I've seen some people say it needs to cost 1 bar of key, but the thing is, you don't want to make it cost the same thing to where they change the Z counter, because if you do, we're going to be back in the same scenario we were before. Because if you make them both cost the same value, it's really going to be about that moment, who has the most key. And considering at some point of this game that you're going to be in a vanish war with somebody, I don't think it's a good idea making super counter 1 bar of key. And I feel like that's fair. Now let's move on. I do not want to talk about this mechanic no more. Perception, the thing that people love to spam online over and over again. Now, I know how to deal with perception per se. I know if they go for perception, I can go for a grab. Like I just did right there. You can go for a key blast like that, since key blast stops perception. Or I try to go for a perfect smash. So I know the ways of dealing with it, it's just the fact that you can keep pressing it like this over and over again, especially since the fact that like you're not really losing key for doing so, people are just going to keep doing it and doing it. So I definitely feel perception, they need to add more recovery on it so people can't do it as fast. Also maybe take a little bit more key from it so that way people are just like, oh, it's taking away a bit of key, I'm not going to keep doing it over and over again. But they definitely got to take away when you're blocking. You can literally just hold perception and you easily get a sonic sway. Or you can easily get a perception from that. Like, it's not that hard to do. Like, you're gonna most of the time get it all the time. Y'all see C-Broly on the screen. Y'all already know the next thing I'm gonna talk about. And you see where my skill count is at, right? So y'all already know what this section's about. Sparking mode. The Key Blast go crazy. You can just keep going, firing, Key Blast, do whatever you need to do, right? Just keep going crazy with Key Blast. And then Broly, he has a fast, unblockable ultimate to where you just have to pray that you're gonna vanish it, or otherwise, your health is gone. Also, side note, can you make the anime lines longer so that way I can clearly tell that this is an unblockable ultimate, because these anime lines be going way too fast sometimes. And the crazy thing, because he's C Broly, he can go right back to it again if he has enough skill count. They definitely need to add a cooldown on the Ki Blast for Sparking mode because this is ridiculous. Also, every single character that is able to go into Sparking in this game, every single one of y'all need to get Ki Sickness like how they did in Budokai Tenkaichi 3 so y'all can get some slow charge. PS, make it to where you slow down the skill count for it too. Now we have Grade A Baby on the screen, aka the linebackers as I like to call them. And that's because when these characters go to Spark, they can literally just cheese you out. 390! 390! My suggestion for this, after the first one, it should definitely have like a cooldown or something, so that way you can't just immediately go to a second one. Or what they can do, after the first one, you lose a lot more ki for doing this. Those are my two options for that. Now, this last thing for sparking that I talked about, I don't really see anybody talk about it. And this is what's gonna happen. Now, you're probably wondering, Jaitiy, what's the point of that? That just looks like a regular Z counter. It's not very noticeable, but if you really look at it, it pauses it for a bit. That shouldn't be happening. So those are overall the things that I think that should change about sparking. Revenge counter, I'm not gonna lie, it's a completely useless mechanic. Revenge counter would be really better if it was a guaranteed get off me move when you do it, but it's just the fact that I can super counter it back. As you can see, you don't really lose any resource from that. Also, you can also go for a super perception if they go for a revenge counter. But this one I don't mind as much because it also takes 2 skill counts for you to be able to do that. So there should be no reason for the fact that you are able to super counter a revenge counter. I also feel for a revenge counter, they should be able to use it backwards. It will make revenge counters so much better. Because the only time I really find revenge counter useful is if they're in sparking and if they keep throwing ki blasts and then you're able to revenge counter if they're right in front of you. But it's only good if they're right in front of you though. If they're far away, it's not worth using. But y'all already know why I have this bad Super Vegito on stream, because we have to talk about After Image Strike. We have to talk about it. A lot of people complain about After Image Strike just because Vegito's able to get out for a certain period of time. And After Image Strike has always been a thing in the Tenkaichi series, but what makes it very annoying about it in this game particularly is how much skill count you get in this game, so Super Vegito is constantly being able to use it, number 1. Number 2, if you use After Image Strike in this game, as you can see, I just used it, you still charge your ki regularly. There's no ki sickness in this game. And the third reason, as you can see, I still got some bar from using After Image Strike. So in order to fix After Image Strike in this game, you should be getting ki sickness. And number 2, if Vegito does a smash and we get into a Z counter war, Vegito should not be earning any skill count meter when he just used After Image Strike. That is not a good look. I also seen people say they should shorten the duration of that, and if they do it, they do it. But those other 2, those are the big ones for me. Ki blasts are very interesting in this game. So some characters like God Goku have so much hit stun under Ki Blast to where they could do something actually pretty crazy that I'm about to show you. Also, I have God Vegeta on guard just to show you he won't be able to turn around from this. As you can see, I was able to keep going with God Goku with a heavy Ki Blast. Also, there are characters that have different types of charged Ki Blast, so you gotta exactly know what type your character's charged Ki Blast is. And Kuwonger made a video recently with the characters with like the slow charged Ki Blast. And I think from watching Arrow's video, I think Goten has it from what I remember. And the only way to deal with this, if the opponent is in front of you, you can do a revenge counter, but you gotta be careful because it's a Ki Blast. They can super perception back if they have enough. Or like I showed you earlier, you can also go for a super counter. Now, if they're backwards, the only way you can really get out of that is if your character has explosive wave. So if your character doesn't have explosive wave, GG's. Unless you're a character like Broly, who essentially can eat any Ki Blast in this game, no matter what type it is. Or a giant, because, I mean, they're a giant. If you have a character with a multi-hitting super, that is bad. Well, as you know, with God Vegeta with his God Shine attack, in order for this to actually have the cinematic, the third one has to hit, right? The big problem is, even if you get hit with the first one or the second one, if you vanish before the third one, the super's not gonna fully connect properly. What? Gotenks also has the same issue with his Jaitiy missiles. He doesn't have a cinematic for his, He still has the problem to where even if you get hit with the first one, you can vanish the rest of it. See, even though I got hit by the first one, I was able to counter the rest of them. So developers, I need you to fix that because I don't think that is supposed to work how it's intended. They need to do something about the lock-on system and the recovery in this game, bro. I can literally lose target of someone, they be right in front of me, and it's still not locked on. I'm like, bro, he's there right in front of you, bro. And recovery just feels ugly in this game. Anytime you're knocked away in this game, it's just like, get up! Also, y'all randomly get the bug to where your character randomly stops attacking? Get that fixed, man. So that's everything I gotta say about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. This game has a lot of potential, but this game needs a lot of fixing. And I know I didn't talk about absolutely everything, mostly everything that really came into my mind when I made this video. So if I missed anything, or if there's something you agree with me with, disagree with me with, let me know. But before I go, I decided to ask other creators in the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero community the question of, what do you think about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? And I got a lot of different recordings, but that's all for me. Till next time, I'll catch y'all later to better days. Jana.
You know my biggest problem with Sparking Zero? It ain't the game. I think the game's great. Could it use a few tweaks here or there? Absolutely. Any game can. A few nerfs here or there. Not major ones. My biggest problem with Sparking Zero has to do with the community. Y'all want to sit here and stand over this character needs to be nerfed and buffed. It's a party game. This is not a game meant for Evo. It is a game meant to have fun with your friends that you can just chill out and play. Y'all wanted a competitive game. We got Fighter Z. Where the hell were y'all at when Fighter Z died? You all disappeared. We get Sparking Zero and now, oh, we need an Evo game. We need an anime Evo game. We have one and y'all let it die.
This game is great. I appreciate all the love and care that was put into this game, but there's some obvious issues about the game that needs to be addressed, like the controller glitch or Yajirobe in general, which they already did. Probably one of the best anime opening experiences, like week 1 or 2 of the games. In terms of like normal fighting games, I guess in quotation marks, it's not up to snuff. Like the training mode definitely needs work. As a game, like gameplay wise, it is very good. It is very fun. That's all I can really say about it.
I think Sparking Zero is a pretty good game. It's got a decent enough story, very awesome visuals, and like fan service all around the board. I feel like the worst part of the game is probably the online. I mean, to me, it feels like it was almost an afterthought. Like they made the story and they were like, should we do actual online? I guess we could throw it in there. Now, I only say that because rank is built kind of weird to me. It's set up so you face an opponent, but you don't know who said opponent is, and you can't decline to face said opponent. You don't know where he's from. You don't know what character he's running. You don't know his match connection ratio, see if they're going to leave or not. And you don't know his Wi-Fi connection. The game would really benefit from like a fighter style lobby where you get loaded in, you see who you're about to fight, what their main character's choice is and stuff like that, and give me the option. Another thing that kind of bothers me is the way battles are paced out online. If you have 2 competent players, you can make a 3-minute battle last like a whole 7 minutes only because the vanishing. I feel like they need to have the counters be a little less broken. Now, I'm not saying they're crazy now, but the fact is you can go through most matches in the whole circle and you'll get a perception, and people will spam that perception because the blast dots will be filled up in like 5 seconds. On another note, this game could really benefit from a better netcode or some form of rollback. I know rollback's probably not gonna happen, but if you're playing with anybody abroad, yeah, good luck, brother. Like, that's just my 2 cents. I appreciate y'all for hearing me out though.
Get rid of UI, Goku, and Gogeta. My soul is...
I hate Sparking Zero. Every time I get on the game, I gotta fight an SS4 Gogeta, I gotta fight Vegito, I gotta fight UI Goku. I'm tired of this.
I think Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is a good game. I'm not just saying that as a blind person. The game obviously has some flaws. Let's talk about the glitches that the game constantly has. I've had multiple different occasions because I do DP battle where I couldn't switch or I couldn't even transform after doing a certain rush attack with a certain character, and I would just be screwed and stuck and I wouldn't know what to do, and I'm freaking out and I'm like, what the hell is going on? The other issues I have with the game is the story mode content. I feel like it is very bare bones. I think some of the what ifs are pretty good. However, I do believe that some of the character stories are very lackluster. Super armor, dumb. Do not bother, it is futile. That's what I'm talking about. After Image Strike needs to be really heavily adjusted. Yajirobe Senzu Bean needs to be heavily adjusted or gone. I understand that the games used to be like that back in the day, but let's not get it twisted. It is 2024. It is not 2007 anymore. We can make some adjustments. A level playing field to some of these abilities to make the game fun and last longer than what I believe it will be. I'm not going to say that the game is going to die, but I will say that the game does need to have some adjustments in order for these complaints to be alleviated.
I have a lot of fun with it. It's pretty much what I expected for what a Tenkaichi game would be in the modern era. But with that said, I do understand there's a lot of aspects that comes with Tenkaichi that was brought over into Sparking Zero that ultimately need to be either patched out or fixed or cleaned up in order to make the game a much more enjoyable experience. I know a lot of people have been going on about like, yeah, this isn't a competitive game or that it doesn't need balance patches and all that stuff. But competitiveness aside, there are some aspects about the game that I think need to be adjusted just to make it a much more overall experience, because even though people weren't patching stuff back in the day with older games because they couldn't, that doesn't mean that we need to keep that same mindset coming in with Sparking Zero, because this is a completely different era. This series has been going for what, 17 to 20 years now. I think that this is a really strong entry. It just has a lot, and I mean a lot of bugs that they need to clean up. But overall, it is probably one of my favorite Dragon Ball games, right beside Dragon Ball Fighters. Some of the changes that they made for the game and overall, I guess, to make it unique in its own thing, don't feel completely fleshed out. They feel like they were like, oh, this sounds like a good idea, but maybe if they would have just let it cook a little more before releasing, this game would have been in a much better state. Bandai Namco does plan to support these games for years to come, so I'm pretty sure what Sparking Zero looks like right now probably won't look anything how it will be maybe like 1 to 2 years from now, which I'm excited to see how that turns out. We still gotta wait for DLC, not only if we're gonna get characters, but if we're gonna get like story expansions and all that stuff. It'll just overall be really cool and excited to see how the game overall pans out.